Hello, welcome to the Quicksilver Adventuring Company. Today I thought I'd do a tutorial on combat, the basics, like what is armor class, how's it calculated, and what's it for, how's it used, and then yeah, attack rolls, again, how they are calculated and how they're used. Keep in mind, this video is not going to be all encompassing, so I may leave some things out or something about the combat modifiers, etc. So just keep that in mind. This is the basics for newer players to help them start understanding the process. Let's start with the basics. Like, for example, if you're not wearing any armor, you have a base 10 plus your dexterity modifier. There are some classes that take other things to account, like Barbarians Unarmored Defense adds Constitution modifier to that as well. So I'm going to not include those in this discussion. So if you happen to have that, just, consult the book and make whatever changes. But for this exercise, a base 10 plus dexterity. So let's say you have a +2 to your dexterity, you're going to have a 10 + 2, 12 armor class. The player's handbook has a chart for this on page 145, but I'm sure when the new 1D&D book comes out, will most likely have a different page number. But that chart is there. It has things that are aligned to each armor type. It has the light, medium, and heavy breakdown. Plus it has average costs, that may vary by what game you're playing and what setting and what city your characters are in. But that's just a base for you as the DM to modify or use as you see fit. The armor class is that base modifier I referenced earlier, then plus your dexterity modifier, which goes into your armor class. Strength would be what strength you need to carry it or wear it. I mean, a light leather armor, pretty much everybody can wear, but like a full set of plate mail, which weighs quite a bit, not everybody's going to be able to strap that on and move comfortably. And then there's stealth, if it's going to cause you disadvantage or any restrictions to that based on that armor you're wearing. And then there's a weight. And again, that weight can vary depending on the armor. Well, of course, it varies depending on the armor type, but it can actually vary based on the actual material the armor is made of and other such things. So this could just be an average. Next, you need to take into account what type of armor it is. Is it that light, medium, or heavy? Because if it's light, you get your full dexterity modifier. If it's over a +2, if it's a medium, you get a max of +2 to that dexterity modifier. And then if it's a heavy armor, sorry, but you don't get any of your dexterity modifier. That stuff is just considered too heavy to gain that advantage. Another thing too in the armor portion is that you can actually have a shield. It'll take up one of your hands, but you can actually have a shield on your arm, and which gives you a +2 to your armor class. Let's work through a few examples using a character with a 17 dexterity, which is a +3 modifier to dexterity. So let's say that character has a leather armor set. They put that on, they have a base 11 plus that 3, so they have an armor class of 14. Let's go ahead and put on a medium armor set. Let's say it's half plate. That character is going to have a base of 15 and then a max dexterity modifier +2. So that character is going to have a 17 armor class. So then let's move on into a heavy armor. Let's just pick chainmail. That you get no dexterity modifier to that. So you're going to have a base of 16 and that's it. So you'll have a 16 armor class for that chainmail wearer. Keep in mind that during combat, to score damage on something, you have to roll to hit an equal or be greater than their armor class on your roll. If you roll below, you're not going to hit or do any damage to them. So this is where this number comes into play and how important it is. Keep in mind as you're going through this video, and I've mentioned it a couple times, there are many more rules than what I'm mentioning here. But for beginning players, this should be enough to get you going. And that's the important thing. You need to be able to get in there, start having fun. Let's move on into weapons and how your to hit works. So let's take a level 1 character. You're going to have a +2 proficiency bonus. And if you are using a weapon that you're proficient in, then you gain that bonus to hit. It's not to the damage, it's just to hit. So if you're using a weapon that you're not proficient in, then you're going to not gain that bonus on your attack roll. When it comes to weapon types, there's essentially simple and martial. There are actually other types in the game, but for now, I'm just going to stick to the simple and martial weapons for this tutorial. Simple is just going to be like a staff. Martial is going to be more like your actual swords, long swords, great swords. And then there's actual ranged weapons, like simple might be a sling, whereas a ranged martial would be something like a longbow. Your character is going to be proficient in some of those. Probably the casters are going to be maybe proficient in the simple weapons, whereas your martial classes like the fighter, ranger, etc., will be proficient in the martial weapons. This is actually where the proficiency bonus comes into play. So let's say you're playing a class that is proficient in simple weapons. Some are even more restrictive, like the wizard. But let's say you're playing one of those, and then you want to go pick up a longsword, which is a martial weapon. You would not get that +2 proficiency bonus I mentioned. But if you're using a weapon from that pool that you are proficient in, you do get the +2. That's it. Nothing else to it. All weapons are going to have an ability score aligned to it to use for extra to hit and extra damage. Most melee weapons, the actual simple martial, just handheld weapons, are going to be strength based. There are some that are dexterity based, and there's some considered finesse where you can do either or. Ranged weapons are going to be dexterity based. Another attribute a weapon can have is versatile, meaning it can be used either one-handed or two-handed. If it's two-handed, you can't use a shield, but you are doing more damage with it. And there's actually other abilities that some of the classes have that if you're using one-handed without a shield, you get extra bonuses and so on. There's going to be lots of different things that I'm not going to cover here, but just be ready for that within your class, that you may have some additional bonuses based on how you wield your weapon. Let's go ahead and use an example of a character that is proficient in a battle axe and has a strength of 17. So they have a +3 to strength. So that +3 to strength translates into a +3 to hit and also a +3 to the damage rolled. So you need to notate that down. And then if you're proficient in it, for example, you have a +2 using that same level 1 character from before, +3 for strength. So this character is going to have a total of +5 to hit and +3 to the damage rolled. There are other things within the game that can add modifiers to your to hit. Like let's say you have a magic weapon that can be anywhere from a +1 to a +3. There can be spells that have increased your modifier, just all kinds of other things that could be at play at any given moment or continuously. So just be sure you notate that on your sheet and add that to your total to hit roll so that you're ready when combat starts. Let's go back to our battle axe wielding 17 strength fighter. And let's say they want to use a longbow and they only have a 14 dexterity. So that same character with that +2, +3 for a total of +5 on there to hit with the battle axe. With that same dexterity of a 14, it's a +2, and then they have a +2 proficiency bonus. So in this case, it's +2, +2. So they have a +4 to hit with a bow. So if that character wants to roll a to hit, you take a D20. And then you add, let's say they're using that battle axe, you add +5 to the roll. So if I roll a 9 +5, that's 14. So I would hit any character with an armor class of 14, or if I roll below 14, I miss. So you need to keep these written down for the basic weapons that you carry and be ready to pivot. Let's say you lose your weapon, need to pick up something else. Be ready to make that calculation again. So I hope you found this educational and informative, and I hope this helps you with your initial play and on through the game. But thanks for watching, and see you next time.